Hello students, welcome to science class. Students, in the previous lectures of the science class of the 10th class, we were discussing about the various sources of energy. In the last lecture, we started discussing about the alternative sources of energy. In that series, we discussed the solar energy. Right students, which is an alternative source of energy. Now in that series, today we are going to discuss about the new source of energy, that is energy from the sea. In this series, we will first discuss about the tidal energy. Right students, the rise of water in the sea due to the gravitational pull of the moon is known as the high tide, and whereas when the water level is low, it is known as the low tide. Right students, when there is a rise in the water level, it is known as the high tide, and whenever there is a fall in the water level, it is known as the low tide. Now students, these tidal waves in the sea rise and fall twice a day. So the enormous movement of the water during this rise and fall of the water produces a great source of energy in the coastal areas. Right students, it is only possible in the coastal areas. So that energy is harnessed by constructing a dam across a narrow opening of the sea. Right students, when the water level is high, I have already told you, sometimes it is high and sometimes it is low. When the water level is high, the water from the sea flows into the reservoir of the dams, which turns the turbine, and then the turbine turns the generator to produce electricity. Now when the water level is low, the water stored in the reservoir of the dam we also allow them to flow into the sea. This flow of water also turns the turbine, which in turn turns the generator to produce electricity. In both the cases, rise of the water and at the low and fall of the water, the purpose of us is to move the turbines to generate the electricity, because generator will then move and it will generate, or it will produce electricity. So this is all about the tidal energy which we get from the tidal waves, which rise and fall twice a day, and they produces a good source of energy. But there are certain limitations. First limitation is that there are very few sites where these type of dams are built to produce energy from the tidal waves. Second, students, the energy produced from these tidal waves or the tidal energy is not sufficient so that it can be used at a commercial purpose. So students, these are the few limitations of the tidal energy which we get from the tidal waves from the fall and rise of the water in the sea. So that is all about the tidal energy. The second type of energy from the sea is the wave energy. Right students? Earlier we are discussing the tidal energy, and second is the wave energy. Same type of energy can be produced by the kinetic energy possessed by huge waves near seashore can be trapped to generate electricity, because they possess a great kinetic energy, by the waves. The kinetic energy possessed by huge waves near seashore can be trapped to generate electricity. How these waves are generated? These waves are generated by the blowing wind, by the strong blowing winds. Wave energy would be a viable proposition if waves are very strong. Now the wide variety of devices to trap wave energy for rotation of turbine and production of electricity are required and are used, because our main purpose is to rotate the turbine, the rotation of the turbines and the production of electricity, because turbines will again turn the generators, will generate or produce the electricity. So this is all about the wave energy which is produced by the strong waves which are due to the strong blowing winds. So this is all about the wave energy. Now students, the third type of sea energy is ocean thermal energy. Right students? Ocean thermal energy. You all know that water at the surface of the sea is relatively warm due to the radiations of the sun, and the water at the deeper section of the sea is relatively cold. So this difference of temperature is exploited to produce energy in the ocean thermal energy conversion plants. Now this is only possible when the difference at the surface of the water and the deeper section of the sea is about the depth at the 2 kilometer is 20 degrees centigrade. There must be a temperature difference of 20 degrees centigrade at the depth of 2 kilometers. Now students, the warm water which is produced is used to boil volatile liquid like ammonia. Now the vapors produced will be responsible for the rotation of the turbine of the generator, because our purpose is to turn turbines of the generator so that we can produce or generate electricity. The cold water at the depth will again do the process of condensation, and they will convert the vapors into liquid. So students, the difference of the temperature in the surface of the sea level and at the deeper section where it is relatively cold is responsible to produce energy in the ocean thermal energy conversion plants. But students, these all sources are a very good sources of energy, but they don't produce the energy which can be used at the commercial level. So there are certain limitations also. So this was all about the energy from the sea, tidal energy, which is derived from the tidal waves rise and fall of the water in the sea, of the waves in the sea. Next is the wave energy, which is produced from the kinetic energy possessed by the huge waves, by the strong blowing of wind. Now third one was ocean thermal energy, which is produced to the difference of the temperature between the water at the surface of the sea level and water at the somewhat depth of the sea level. So student, that was all about the energy from the sea. In the next lecture, we will meet with the another source of energy, alternative source of energy. Till then, take care. Have a nice day. Thank you.